All right, so we are here in Texas at CPAC, and we got a very special treat. We are sitting down with Rick Grinnell, the former acting director of national intelligence under President Trump. Rick, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks. I'm a little starstruck by being here at the Epic Times. You guys are like killing it.
Thank you. Yeah, more and more people are turning to us, I guess. Can you introduce yourself and what you do now?
Sure, Rick Grinnell. I'm just a California resident. That's all I'm doing.
Okay,
I'm working 1/10 the time and making 10 times the money.
Oh, well, it's good to be out of government. That's the way it should be, right? When you get out of government, you make more money.
That's why we live in a capitalism. We live under capitalism, and we, push for people to work in government for a short period of time and then leave and go live under the laws that they helped create.
Yeah. So, I'd like to speak with you a bit about the Durham investigation, right? Because we at the Epic Times covered Spygate, the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane investigation into the Trump campaign pretty extensively. But it seems like generally the narrative has moved on from that. No real accountability has been had. And the only person seemingly still investigating it is John Durham. However, Trump recently came out and said, where's Durham? Has he disappeared? So what do you know about the investigation as it's still currently unfolding? What's happening behind the scenes?
Well, certainly it's getting very frustrating. What we need to be able to have is a transparent look at the truth, and the American public needs to understand the truth. Now, what I've been able to see in terms of this Russian collusion hoax and the Steele dossier and all of the issues that unfolded after that is shocking. And it's sad to think that in our country, in the United States of America, that we would have FBI officials that knew that the Steele dossier was part of the DNC Hillary Clinton opposition research dump, largely, if not almost all, untrue. They were told specifically from sources that the Steele dossier was not true, and yet they continued. The leadership of the FBI continued down this road. They didn't share that information with the courts. They were not transparent with the courts. And I think that people need to be held to account. It is unacceptable to have the weaponization of government agencies against political opponents, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. What's going on with the counter investigation? Because Bob Mueller and John Durham, essentially, they have the same title now, right? Special counsel. They're both special counsel. But it seems like when Bob Mueller was conducting his investigation, there were regular updates, there were regular leaks. But with John Durham, it seems like it's a veritable ghost town. Do you know anything about what's happening?
Well, I certainly like the fact that there are no leaks, because I think that while our appetite to find out what's going on is high, we should not be having leaks. There shouldn't be, individuals spinning through partial information outcomes. I like the fact that there hasn't been leaks, but it's now lingering. It's been too long, and delayed justice means sometimes no justice. And I think we the public, and I put myself in the public grouping now, are frustrated. We're frustrated that we know little pieces of truth through what's been uncovered and what's been given out through the government process. When I was acting DNI, I tried to release as much information, declassify as much as possible, and release this to the public. I think the public has a right to know. When I was acting DNI, I was asked to declassify certain documents for the Durham team. I was happy to do that where appropriate. And we now need to be able to demand that they wrap this up and they come clean. I don't understand what's taking so long. This is really frustrating, and I think it also feeds into the idea that there is no justice for certain people.
That's a real shame, because if that's the case, then the trust in our system is going to be eroded quite a bit.
Well, listen, the eroding trust in government agencies is a very real thing. When I was acting DNI, I was very sensitive to the fact that Americans were distrusting members of the intelligence community. And I tried to instill upon our intel officers that without the public's trust, then we are all going to be feeling problems for the United States. We're going to see the American people tell their representatives not to fund intelligence programs because they don't have faith in them. Congress will then react. There will be less money. We will have less work that we're able to do. And I don't want to get to that point. So I want the intelligence community to understand that there is a crisis of confidence. They need to fix that. And one of the ways to fix that is to come clean about what you know, to be transparent. And that's not always comfortable because that means you're going to admit mistakes. You're going to admit that there was a bureaucratic mess up. Or maybe there were individuals that were purposefully trying to leak information that was erroneous and that was damaging to political opponents. And so I still think at the end of the day that those responsible, Avril Haines and others in the intelligence community, have a responsibility to understand they've got a crisis of confidence, and that means they are the ones who have to fix it. They are the ones who have to share and be more open about the process. And that means getting an end to the Durham investigation and releasing the report as quickly as possible.
Yeah. So last question on Durham, and then I want to talk about Tucker. But earlier today I spoke to Matt Whitaker, and he suggested that it could be the case that John Durham's budget is being basically he's not getting the budget he needs, and his investigation is withering on the vine. From your perspective, having been on the inside of the intelligence community, could that be the case?
Well, let me be clear that everything that Durham needed during the Trump administration, he got.
Okay, so then in terms of Tucker, so you spoke a little bit a moment ago about leaks, right? So can you tell our audience who might not know about intelligence reports and unmasking how that all works? So Tucker said that once he spoke to someone in regards to interviewing President Putin, then he was caught up in some form of unmasking. Can you explain how that all works and what happened?
Yeah, so Tucker was very clear that he was, and by his own admission, he admitted this, that he was trying to get an interview with President Putin. And so in doing that, he was emailing and calling and talking to certain individuals who may know Putin, who may be able to be helpful in trying to get that interview. NBC has interviewed Putin. Others have interviewed world leaders. It's a pretty legitimate thing to want to sit down with world leaders and ask them questions. And so as part of the intelligence process, clearly he was captured in some of those gatherings. And the reality is that when that happens, you are to identify the individual as a U.S. journalist. If it happens to a member of Congress, you're to identify the member of Congress as just a member of Congress. When I was acting DNI, we began to see a pattern and a problem with some of the writings of intelligence where individuals were identifying members of Congress by more than just a member of Congress. They were saying things like a member of Congress in the leadership from Kentucky, and we all would know who that was. And so I issued a memo to the intelligence community saying we need to go back to the original ideas of when we, not on purpose, collect information about an American, you have to follow the law, and the law says you cannot identify them. Tucker Carlson should have been kept as a U.S. journalist. What he was doing was pretty legit, and I've seen it happen a lot. But unfortunately, something illegal happened. Somehow Tucker Carlson's name was leaked out, and that means that someone within the intelligence community requested that U.S. journalist name to be unmasked.